And this is the Aftercast. In my last video, I melted up some aluminum and I made this. Some lost PLA casting. It's the reason I got into 3D printing. It's the reason I started my YouTube channel, so I could figure this stuff out and kind of document the whole journey and share it with everybody that wants to watch. So in this video, I'm going to get a close look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Raphael side that I casted. I'm gonna show a couple of the imperfections that I came across and some of the techniques that I used and some of the things that I did along the way, and then I'm going to attempt to shine this up nice and shiny. If you want to see, make sure you watch the rest of this video. Stay tuned. So welcome inside the Mind of Matt. If this is your first time here, my channel is pretty much me doing some stuff with my 3D printing. I'm gonna fix them, I'm gonna upgrade them, I'm gonna talk about them, I'm gonna review them, I'm gonna do stuff like that. But my main purpose in this channel is what I'm holding right here in my hand. Not just this, but just the idea of being able to design something myself, or take something you design, 3D print it, make a mold around it, melt out the 3D printed part, melt up some aluminum or some other stuff, which I'm going to talk about later on in this video. So, and make something out of it. So that's what my channel is about. So once again, if this is your first time here, consider subscribing and hitting your notification, and maybe like this video. And there's a ton of videos that I've got. If you go to my main channel, I've got everything split up in nice little playlists and everything, so it's really cool. So also there's links in every description on how you can save some money and as well as support the channel. So that's being said about the channel. Let's go on and talk about what I have here. So once again, this is Raphael's side. This was my idea for A Skewed View 3D to design this, and he designed it for me and then put it up on Thingiverse later on. But I did do some modifications to his model, so that's what I'm going to talk about, stuff like that, as well as I have another one that I did print up and got ready here. I'm going to implement some of the things that I noticed about this on this, and then possibly pour it in a different kind of metal. I'm going to talk about that a little later. But so let's take a closer look at what we got here, and we'll show you some of the imperfections and what I'm going to be able to do to fix it, as well as some of the things that I did to make the metal flow through my mold. So let's take a look. Here it is. Let's talk about blemish number 1 and what I did wrong and what I could do to fix it. And let's get there we go. Well, it's not there, it's over here. It's right in these guys right in here. So what we have is, this was the underside, as you see, as I poured it this way, but as you see there, when I poured the mold material into my little box there, which by the way, the box that I used was actually the box that my gaming chair came into, that I fell asleep in at the beginning of the video. That's the other thing. I'm going to fill in a couple of little kind of behind the scenes hidden little Easter eggs in my previous video, which if you didn't get the chance to see the video of me casting this, I'll leave a link or a card right up here, so go back and watch that, because it was a pretty good video as far as I can say my judgment. So that's the first one, is that I did not quite, I got probably some bubbles or something. My mistake was that I did not put like a preliminary coat on top of the 3D printed part. So what I will do differently on this guy is I'm probably going to have to unglue it because it's hot glued at the different points, which I'll get a closer look at that here in a minute. But back to this, if I paint this guy with like a pure mixture of my plaster Paris and water and just get a good skin over this guy and then maybe repeat the process, and that's the one thing that I'm making a YouTube video for you guys and record the whole process. And sometimes preparation is a little bit hard to do because, once again, I do work a full-time job. So I try to prep for these things as best as I possibly can, but sometimes I don't have everything that I need when I'm at the point of making the video and all that. So anyways, so that being the first blemish, that I believe if the next time I go at this with this guy, that I'm gonna get a nice coating that I'm gonna brush on of the plaster Paris before I actually pour the mold. And I also have another idea for like a vibrating table. I'm gonna DIY one, but this being the second spot, I did not have any type of vent or any type of sprue, or I'm going to say a vent, because I did have a vent on these guys. Now I haven't cut anything off, as you see. My pouring basin is still attached, as well as this guy. That's all going to be part of this video. I'm going to try to make it not as long as it probably could be, but I'll try to edit it up and make it entertaining as possible as it progresses. But on this guy, you'll see, let's see if I can zoom in on it. Not with this lens, but I'll get a closer look. Bring this guy right up here. This is some clear 3mm PLA. I actually won a roll of it from Fun King 3D. They were doing a live giveaway and he had no use for it. This is IC3D's clear 3mm, and I don't have a 3mm extruder at the time, but with one modification of my Mo, I could make it 3mm. But an idea came to me that the wax filament that you can get, you know, it's in a roll, and when you buy like wax to do lost wax casting, you can get it in different shapes, and one of those actually being like a strand, and it's 3mm. So I figured at certain points throughout a print, which I have another project coming up where I'm going to be casting something that's kind of got some fat parts and then some narrow parts and then back to fat parts and narrow parts, and I'm hoping that using some of that filament to make some gates or vents, that it'll help the metal flow all the way through. But so what I'm thinking is, on this guy, before I do my coating, that I'm gonna take it, unglue it from there, and these guys are glued down, as well as just had a little hollow sprue that I 3D printed up and glued to the bottom. And for this guy, which it didn't make it completely up it, so I might consider maybe making a larger one for this guy. But now, one of the other things that I did was I poured it, and then the next day I took it out of the shell, and I kind of sped up the footage in the original video, but the bottom was still kind of moist, and I believe that with this guy I'm going to give it a little bit more time. I'm going to pour it. I'm probably not going to record it, and then I'm going to let it dry for over 24 hours just so that's dry, and then I'm going to take it out of the cardboard, which is holding a lot of moisture, and that way it'll give a little bit more time. And I'm probably going to dry it for, you know, a week or so, because I got some bad weather coming up, so I'm probably not going to be able to pour this coming weekend, so you might see me live stream or something like that. So don't forget to subscribe, and you'll know if you set your notifications for on. So that being said about the imperfections that I've got, I still believe that, you know, these guys completely filled, so I believe that using that little vent that I did allowed enough aired passage to get to this point. And of course, once it got to that point, it choked off because it had no place else to go, and then continued down, and it poured continuous right up until the tip. So I think that maybe if I put like a large sprue kind of like this here, it will allow a little bit, because I think that this has got to do with some shrinkage that just didn't have enough pressure and enough heat to get it from here, that it took it from the largest mass that it could, which is here. And also, when I mixed this guy up, it literally took that much out of a brand new bag of plaster Paris. So I really didn't have enough material on hand to be able to complete enough mixture to be able to cast both of them at the same time, as well as have enough room in my kiln to be able to burn them out at the same time. Another one of the ideas that I really didn't get to implement when I was pouring the other one, the idea came to me before, but I forgot to execute it. And this is just some really, like, some hanging wires, what we use in the field to kind of like hang fixtures and stuff. It's just kind of thin metal. And my thought was to kind of bend some shapes and get it so that there's kind of some metal handles on it. I got an idea in my head. I'm gonna leave this video out there and kind of wait for a couple views and stuff to happen, and maybe some comments to come in to tell me whether or not you think this is a good idea. I'm gonna implement it regardless, whether or not they're actually going to hold up to being the weight of the, because this thing, well, once it dried out it was a lot lighter, but I don't plan on using the metal handles for anything other than taking it out of the hot kiln, because I took this out of the kiln and just kind of let it cool as I started to melt the aluminum, and by the time that it was melted and ready to pour, this thing had dropped down to probably 200 degrees Celsius, maybe 300, 400 degrees inside where I was pouring. But the cracks that I did have from prematurely firing it before it was completely dry did not penetrate anywhere deep into the actual mold, because as you see, I didn't have any type of bleed over from the model in any way. Now, one of the other things I did see from the rubble, oh, that was the other thing that I did do different, and that's why I'm able to show this, is I didn't dip this in the mold itself after I poured it in water. I didn't quench it. I just kind of let it cool down, sitting on the rack for a little while, and then I just started whacking at it with the hammer, and I was able to actually pick up some of where the actual mold, and it's really nice and smooth, and you see there's not a lot of ash or buildup whatsoever. I mean, the plaster is brittle at this point, but So I believe my mixture worked pretty good. I think my drying I gotta be a little bit more patient on before I fire it. But I will say that one of the things about the burnout time and process that I did not do was rush it. I was in there for probably 6 hours just baking the PLA out, and I actually, it wasn't part of the dream, but Mr. Bear from Bear Designs, where he's got the laser. I made a video about him. If you didn't get a chance to watch that, I'll put a card up there. But he actually came over with a 6-year-old son. I was hanging out while I was started the burnout process, but I didn't want to start melting because that only takes 15-20 minutes to get it molded enough to be able to pour it. So he kind of hung out, but then it started to snow and it was cold. I had the heater on, but he had a 6-year-old son. He started to get bored, and he decided to go home and didn't get to watch or help record or anything. But he kind of got to see some of the process. I didn't get to do much recording, but it was cold, I will tell you that. So what else did I want to talk about before I actually start to try to polish this guy? So one of my next attempts is, this is my crucible, and it's been working really good. As you see, I've melted a couple times. I really don't have too much surface imperfections happening, but this is something I want to show you guys if you're paying attention to this and you're casting yourself in your backyard, that the difference between a steel, kind of make it yourself kind of crucible and a good graphite crucible that I'm discovering, and I'm sharing this experience, is I didn't do anything with this. I literally just pulled it out of the foundry that's been sitting in the garage since I made the last video when I melted. And look at this. Ready? Watch. Look at my crucible is like completely clean. Isn't that beautiful? So that being said, I am going to attempt to melt some other type of material other than aluminum, and if I'm successful in doing that, then I'm going to mix that metal that I'm going to melt with some aluminum and make a different kind of metal that I'm going to pour this guy with. Because one of the things that I am discovering about this, which doesn't matter because I'm not going to use it as a weapon, it's literally just going to be a decoration, is that, well, I'm going to do it with this because it's kind of bendable. So I've actually been able to bend these, and this kind of got crooked a little bit. I don't know if, yeah, I did bend it. So the other metal that I'm going to make, which that will be in a future video. So once again, you guys got to make sure you're subscribed. But yeah. So I've got some safety equipment that I'm going to hook up. And what else? Oh, wait. Wrong order. I got to put this on first.
I have to remember that I have my microphone attached to me. So I'm hoping that the audio comes out good in this. I might have to relocate my whole situation. But this is just to kind of keep some of the mess off of my clothes. That I wore dirty clothes. Not dirty ones, but clothes that I can get dirty in.
Okay. Now I'm in the proper order. So, what do you say we get a little grinding on? Hey, look, the camera's trying to autofocus on my face, but it's having a hard time. No, it's picking it up. Nice. Camera. Hey, if you guys want a camera review from me, let me know in the comment section So I got a really nice camera, got some really nice lenses, and a review from somebody that ain't getting paid to do it might benefit you. If you want to, make sure you leave a comment. If you like, shut up about it. Let's get to polishing. Warning, I am not claiming that what I'm doing is safe or the right way to do these things. I am just using the tools and the knowledge and the experience that I have with those tools to accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish. Please use safety. Don't do anything that you're not comfortable with. I'm comfortable doing things the way I'm doing it. That's why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. So if you've got a better way to suggest for me to do it, please, once again, leave a comment in the comment section. But don't do this at home. Back to the show. Now, one of the reasons that I left this on here was so that it would make it a little bit easier to clamp it in a vise like this, getting it nice and not moving around, so that my next tool, I think that'll work, my next tool I can use freely, which is going to be this nice little angle grinder that has a busted up blade on it that I'm going to need to change, and I don't know where the tool is. So I have to use blunt force. Now, your choice of wheel is going to depend on you, really, but what I have chosen is a grinding and polishing flap disc. This scene is probably appearing dirty. The seam might appear that it's dirty, but it's not, I'm not trying to get it like that. But let me get this out of here real quick. So, like I said, I'm going at this with what I've got in my arsenal. Let me stand up. So, I've been going at this for a little bit, and I'm hoping the camera's going to be able to... This is mirror finish right here. And that's even before... I was just trying to get a preliminary as to what it was going to look like. And I got a lot of pitting going on, which is not a big deal. I'm not complaining here. But I've already started recording me sanding this and stroking it and doing all this crazy stuff to it. And the truth of it is, it's going to take a little bit more than what I think that I'm going to be able to include in this video. So I am going to just kind of like move the camera, move the lights, get the sandpaper out, and really be able to move around. I've cut myself once, and it wasn't with the grinder, but it was like a little burr on the end of one of these guys, and it caught me, and there's still a little burr on it, and I'm going to clean up. And I'm going to try to make this so that when I go to a convention or something, I'll be able to take some of my stuff with me, as long as it's, you know, not on a plane, and be able to show some of my casting. So I'm going to be able to, you know, want this kind of safe in order for people to be able to handle it and not cut themselves or scratch themselves or anything. But just a fact that this is a defensive weapon used to deflect and kind of catch. These are actually should be wider so that they could actually my hand should be able to fit through it if they were real. And Raphael was a rebel and sharpened his. Normally they're a blunt. So I'm going to leave it blunt, but I am going to try to get this to as mirror of a shine, as well as once I do cast the other one of these that's mentioned here. And I don't know if I covered this earlier, but the other difference that I did say I was going to do is this guy is coming right into the end of the pommel, is it? I'm not a knife guy, I'm not a weapons guy, but I do like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I do like 3D printing, I do like metal casting, and I like putting it all together in a video for you. So anyways, I'm going to pour this one. It's going to come into the side of the handle instead of at the end of it. So once again, I kind of teased at it earlier, and now I'm just going to disclose it. I'm going to be mounting some copper, and then if I'm capable of doing that, then I'm going to be making some aluminum bronze. So anyways, I am going to cut and go to work on this, and then I'll come back here and conclude this video. Stay tuned. Alright, I've been buffing away at this thing for a couple hours now, and I'm hoping that the lighting in the camera is going to reveal how nice this turned out. Now, I haven't done anything with the handle. I have a plan for that. I still can go over this with some aluminum polish, but this is just from the polishing compound and the sandpaper, and this is what I got too. But I got plans. Still got one more to pour. I'm going to do some more melting before that, making up some aluminium bronze, and trying to, well, first I got to see if I can melt some copper. But stay tuned, there's going to be more inside the mind of Matt. Keep on coming back. Make sure you check out the links in the description for all kinds of ways to help support, as well as ways to save some money. Make sure that you subscribe, hit that like button, and maybe share on your social media. You know, share it to the masses. Sharing is caring, folks. Anyways, happy printing, be safe pouring. Peace, I'm out.